Tulsi Gabbard has thought a lot about this, of course, a former congresswoman from Hawaii, currently lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves. She joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on. Does what's happening in eastern Ukraine, whatever you think of it, constitute a core American interest, do you believe?
No. Look at what Senator Wicker is saying. I want to go back to that for a second here, because anyone who would propose or even consider what he is saying as an option must be insane, a sociopath, or a sadist. Because let's just understand here. So he's saying, let's go and launch a nuclear attack that would start a war that would destroy the American people, our country, and the world, and also the Ukrainians, so that we can save Ukraine's democracy. I mean, it literally is insane. And the crazy thing, Tucker, is Senator Wicker is not an outlier. He's the #2 Republican on the Armed Services Committee, and you're hearing the same kind of rhetoric coming from Democrats and Republicans in Congress, in the administration, and in the media, who have no problem with this because they actually agree with it. They're pushing this same narrative themselves, and this is why it is such a dangerous situation that we are facing as we are being pushed closer and closer very quickly, as you said, to a hot war, a nuclear war that would destroy the world as we know it.
Over eastern Ukraine, I mean, the sad thing is in Washington, I mean, you served in the Congress. People like Roger Wicker are considered highly informed intellectuals. You know, America deserves better than Roger Wicker, I think it's fair to say. But they live in an airless world where they repeat back to one another, both parties, the same stupid talking points. Do they know how disconnected from reality this is?
Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. And this is just points to their ineptness, their lack of a capability to really clearly see what the consequences are of their rhetoric, of what the actions. And this isn't just, you know, empty words. There are consequences to leaders in our country, influential people in our country, to throwing things out like a first-use nuclear attack is on the table. This directly undermines our national security. It directly puts the American people and our country and the world at risk, Tucker. And what are we trying to accomplish here? Because that will be the result.
And this is a much longer conversation, but in a minute, why eastern Ukraine? I mean, you can think of lots of parts of the world that are critical to our national interests, the shipping lanes in the South China Sea, for example, or lots of things. You could argue we have to defend this. But Ukraine? What? We've been talking about Ukraine for years. What is this?
The thing that I see here, Tucker, that is the same neocons and neolibs in Washington who dragged our country into regime change wars in places like Iraq and Libya and Syria, are the same ones who are pushing us very quickly into this war with Russia and never stating once, hey, what's our objective? What are we trying to accomplish here? And how does it serve our country's national security interests?
Exactly.
Not a single one of them are pointing that out.
This is not some Stone Age land in South Asia. This is a real country with nuclear weapons and an actual army. Like these,
exactly.
Just too crazy.
And by the way, they have more nuclear weapons than we do. So thinking you're just going to launch a nuclear attack and not see a consequence that will lead to a nuclear war that destroys the world is, again, insane, inept, and I don't know how many more words we can use to describe it. It's ridiculous, and these people should not be in positions of power to make these decisions.
I couldn't agree more. I also have run out of adjectives, but I agree with the ones you used. Tulsi Gabbard, great to see you tonight.